welcome to this new edition of our podcast Cluster Talks. Today we are having a very special guest. He's Thomas Prieur from the Cluster CARA. He's a good collaborator from the very similar industry, despite we have some differences in our country that we'll be discussing today because our clusters, despite they are in a very similar sector, the very similar industry, we are having a very different approach on how to manage the cluster and how to support our local industry. So thank you very much, Thomas, for being here and very welcome to you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so actually, before we start, we click recording in this edition. We just start discussing some things that we had to just put on standby because we said, okay, let's start the recording because we don't want our audience to miss anything. We had just starting talking about our approach on how to manage the cluster. I was just telling Thomas and sharing with him that in our cluster in CIAC, we are focused mainly, I would say 80% of our resources are focused on project development. We manage between 40 and 50 projects per year. And some of them we finance with our own money, with our own economy. And the other half, we go to regional and local, national, and we are trying to go European calls as well to get more money for those projects for our industry. And so that was one of the things that we had been discussing. And later on, we'll discuss as well also, Thomas, if you want, about European, because our previous guest was Antonio Novo, who is very, very into the European projects and calls for experts. We learned about a lot about that. And Antonio had a few questions for you that I will let you know later, so you can reply as well to add more value to this podcast. So thank you very much. And maybe you want to do like a brief introduction about your cluster, where you're located, and how old is the cluster been working, and how long have you been managing the cluster? So please, Johan, feel free from your introduction.
Okay, maybe we can split into parts. My cluster and myself. So CARA is an automotive cluster. It used to be a truck and buses cluster.
Okay.
It's been created in 2005 with all the pôle de compétitivité in France. In France, in 2005, we created this pôle de compétitivité saying that if we want to be competitive, we are not able to do it with the prices. We have to be competitive with our brain and our ability to be innovative and to be performant.
So you started as a truck and bus cluster, and then you moved to cover the whole automotive industry.
Yeah, and mobility industry.
And so, mobility as well. That's amazing.
And the beginning, the DNA of this pôle de competitivity in France is based on the triple helix territory, economy, industry, and public research. And the idea was to connect on the same area. An industry was a massive impact on the economy. And in France, in Lyon, trucks and buses were important because we had Renault trucks bought by Volvo trucks. So Renault trucks, Volvo trucks is a main trucks builder based in Lyon with maybe more than 5,000 people working there. And also Iveco bus, Italian company based also here. And at the beginning, it was just a group of maybe around this core, maybe 40, 50 companies. 2005, a small team, small group of company working together. Right now, we are 400 companies, from truck to bike, micro-mobility. I'd say maybe 1/4 quarter of our members are interested in the bike industry. Some are 100% about bike industries, and some are automotive industries interested in having transformation into this branch. So we are 400 companies. We have 400 companies in our network. We are not only in Lyon, but the whole region, Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region, 10 million 10 million inhabitant regions, like the size
Mm-hmm.
of Sweden or Belgium,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. I'm not sure about my geography. And we work on a basic rules saying that our role, our goal is to support cooperation for innovation. So
For
cooperation for
innovation. Mm-hmm.
so basically we have a team. A part of our activities are based on cooperation activities, how to create event, how to create action to support this animation between
Mm-hmm.
inside the ecosystem. And the
Mm-hmm.
second part is how to support collaborative projects to give access to public funding,
Mm-hmm.
and also we have a public role. We how can I say, we have a labelization process.
Okay.
We have committee of experts, independent
Okay.
experts from our ecosystem, able to say that this project has this level of TRL, is innovative, has an interest for the market,
So it's some
and
kind of an advisor board. Could we say like
yeah.
advisors?
Yeah, it's kind of advisor board, but yes, expert committee,
Expert committee.
and this expert committee, at the end, we give a letter, we sign a letter saying this project is innovative. Our
Mm-hmm.
committee say it's innovative, and we have this the respect of the public funders, saying if you say it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
we are more willing to support the project and to fund the project. So we are a gateway to public funding. And in France, right now, there are 55 pôles de compétitivité
Mm-hmm.
about mobility, energy, materials, wood, all the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all the industries.
Tom,
And we have this
let
process
me
of
ask you,
competition.
because
Yes.
I think you did something that many of us, not only in the automotive industry, but in the other industries, I would say the automotive industry right now is moving, as you already mentioned, from automotive industry, heavy metal, to mobility. So we most of our clusters, I'm thinking of course of my own, but a few others in Spain and Europe, they're trying to move to a bigger and very different markets, which is mobility. You mentioned motorcycles or bicycles or mobility in general, but you already did that transition not only once but twice, because you moved from buses and trucks to automotive, and right now you're moving to mobility. And I would say that because I was in Torino 3 weeks ago in a cluster project, and I was there with other clusters from other industries outside from automotive, and I realized that this transformation that I thought previously that was happening only in the automotive industry, it's actually happening in many other industries, from food industry to healthcare industry to many others. They are moving, trying to attend bigger markets, not because of a cluster strategy for growing, but because of the intersection or the disappearance of the lines, those clear lines between one industry and the other. And let me ask you, how did you manage to do it not only once but twice? This transformation in your cluster. What were the challenges, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, and maybe to complete your question to myself, it's not only two transformation; it's a lot of transformation from time to now, because first off, we are working not only on car, trucks, bus and trucks, and car and bike, but also train, boat, river boat, and also aerial transportation. Like gondola, this kind of
Wow.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you have in some cities you have this kind of public transportation
yeah.
with gondolas and stuff like that. First off, also in our ecosystem we have builders, suppliers, people who provide materials, energy, battery, energy suppliers, and also people who use this vehicle. The idea is to have connection,
So you have
cooperation.
users as well. Okay.
Yes, are not users like
No, not end
individual,
users, but yeah, yeah.
but public transportation companies. for example.
City halls and I
Yeah,
understand.
and for the train, we have the SNCF, so the national company of train, is part of the network. So we try to connect because we support experimentation and project trying to use a new material with a new usage. So the idea is to be not only on a technical innovation but also usage innovation. And so
Mm,
to do that, there is a first movement with merge of clusters. So at the beginning,
okay,
we were alone, and there is a small cluster in another part of the region. So the teams merge together, and
okay.
that's why we grow by merging and acquisition, like in
Mm,
companies,
mm.
and also to develop our expertise and the subjects, the topics, we added so energy and so on. And so with this new topic, we added more members, more expertise in our ecosystem. So that's
But
why we grow from
uh-huh.
maybe 100 people to 400 people, adding expertise.
Wow. And when you, I mean, when you are adding new industries, every industry has their own particularities, not only on the product they are producing, but also on the market they are using, on the value chain they used to. How do you manage to provide services as a cluster? I mean, provide services and adding value when those industries they can have very different approaches and challenges at the same time.
Yeah. And I'd say we have to stay modest because we're not no we can't we can't work on all the subject. Also, we know that all these companies they are in competition altogether.
Hmm. Hmm.
They and if you and it's basic, it's human. If you have a I'd say a purchaser and a buyer, purchaser, and a supplier in the same room.
Uh-huh.
They have all the good reason to fight because they are not okay about the price, about the product. So, but if you put two engineers or two specialists about the subject, you find the way of cooperation. So we say we can't,
Hmm.
we are not naive. We know that competition is everywhere, but we are only organization about cooperation. So we talk about cooperation and we don't talk about the other stuff. So
Okay.
I used to say that we are a picnic table. We are a picnic table, and when you want to come to this picnic, you find a partner, you find a neighbor, you find someone you talk with, and you don't know exactly what is the subject you are talking to.
Uh-huh.
You will talk to because we. It's like when when someone meets someone in the same universe but not exactly the same techniques, or
Yeah.
you have always a lot of things to talk about, and you can exchange your recipe of tabbouleh and
Yeah. And in the working groups that you have, because that's I'm curious about that. In the working groups that you have, is it they naturally um, meet together all the train things for one side and bike things for the other side and car for the other side, or there are some working groups where they merge and they find synergies. I don't know, the bikes with the trains and with the cars. Are there some topics that they share?
yeah, this is the idea. And the natural reflex is to stay with your own friends. Like during the picnic, if you stay with your friends, you
Same.
won't meet new people. So the idea is to find subject, you find a reason to discuss with someone else. So we have I would say a first level of group committee
Hmm.
by sector, and
Okay.
industries from automotive discuss together about what they
Natural
need,
segregation.
natural, and
Yeah.
they want that. So we have committee about automotive, train, bike, so on. But we ask them about what are their needs, what are the subjects they are working on, what do they want to share with other sectors, and also we it's like a up and down. So we explain to them the idea of action, of collaboration we want to implement, and we listen to their recommendation. And from this level of discussion, I'd say, we have ideation process. So about innovation in transportation, in mobility, we know that we have two big trends, like everywhere in Europe and in the world,
Absolutely.
digitalization and decarbonization.
Absolutely. And I'm
So
going to tell you a third one that it's coming right now. It's cybersecurity. We can discuss that about later if you want.
it's for me, it's in digitalization. It's a
Oh,
part
you
of
put it
the
inside digitalization. Okay. Big
yeah,
topic,
yeah.
however.
Yeah, exactly. And so about digitalization, we talk about automatic vehicle. We talk
Mm,
about sensor captors,
mm,
mass mobility as a service. We
mm.
talk about intelligent transport system. How do you manage about well? And it's not only it's goods and goods and people. So we talk about
Mm.
public transportation for people and good transportation, logistics and urban logistics and so on. About
Yeah.
decarbonization, we talk about new energies, we talk about eco design, upcycling, recycling, retrofit, all these subjects. And when you discuss about battery,
Mm.
or you discuss about hydrogen is more specific, but battery, if you build a bike or if you build a car or if you have a truck, uh, you can have
You
the
have
same
topics
subject.
there. Yeah, absolutely.
If you talk
Absolutely.
about cybersecurity inside your car or for a bike, now if you
Mm.
don't want to have a bike stolen, you need a lot of
Absolutely.
data and GPS and
Absolutely.
so on. And also the same, you have to protect the thing. So we try to find subject about digitalization and decarbonation who gather all expectation from our members, and it's a good way. It's a special picnic to talk about this subject
Mm.
between people from automotive, from trucks, from car, and from bike.
I'm very curious about that. I'll tell you why. It's here in our region in Catalonia, we decide not to merge the clusters because we have a cluster focused on railway. We have a cluster focused on motorbikes. They also add also electric bikes and scooters and other kind of vehicles, two wheels vehicles. And we have another cluster for energy things, deep tech, materials, but and we decide to not to merge as itself, but to create somehow, if we were industries, if we were private companies, to create, let's say, like a joint venture among us. So we are creating a foundation. That's the legal entity we decide. Actually, we are a few weeks before signing all the documents, so this is kind of a new thing. But because we decide to keep our own structures legally, because we approach our associates in a very different ways, and also because our region is quite uh, there's quite abundance with companies related to the automotive industry, trains and energy. Because most of us, we have among or between 150 and 200 members, and putting together, we are talking about, I think it's 1,000, almost 400 companies we have in our own classes. So we decide to keep our own structures and find the create legally create this new entity, as in which we all are members of the board of directors. And that's why I was asking the how do you manage these shared challenges, because right now we are in the process. I mean, we have been there in the last year, almost, trying to reach and define which are the main topics we'll be discussing together. Of course, we assume that we'll not discuss all the topics together, but we are trying to find three or four big, let's say, fundamental headlines in which most of us can feel related, at least with two or three of them. And that's
Yeah,
why I was very curious.
yeah,
How are you managing that? Because you already did what we are trying to do. Despite legally we are doing it different, but on the day to day, I think it's not big difference, isn't it?
yeah. But and I will come back about how we did, and what are the reasons. But I'd say about your situation, the idea is to find something transversal about energy, or about public transportation, or about digitalization, and so way to find subject in common for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
About France, about our situation. Well, first off, I'll come back about my career path, but I'm quite new
Uh-huh.
in this organization.
Uh-huh.
It's been only 1 year I'm working with CARA, so
Okay.
I was not here during all this transformation,
Mm-hmm.
but I know about it. I can relate.
Yeah.
But as our organization, our cluster are it's a mix in the funding between public and private funding.
Okay.
The idea is to be 50-50, 50 private funding with membership fees, basically, and
Mm-hmm.
also people in kind, involved in the organization, and also some some prestation, some public, some private funding for special missions. And the public part is regional, national, local government funding with public subsidized. And at the beginning of this pole de competitivité, these clusters, it was kind of interesting. Everybody wanted a cluster. Every mayor in every
Yeah.
city wanted to have a 5 or 10 cluster, saying, "Oh,
Clusters there. Yeah.
because it's trendy. I want to have my cluster, because if I
Yeah.
have 10 cluster, I'm more important than
I
my
can
cluster."
feel 100%
You know,
related to that. Yeah.
this kind
Yeah.
of thing. And at some point, it was not balanced. A lot of things, a lot of public funding, also accompanying where uh, asked to be member in all the clusters, and then you have maybe a cluster or non-profit organization with 5 companies. It's not worth it.
Yeah. It makes no
So
sense.
there is a regrouping movement, merging movement with public incitation. Like, if you don't merge, you won't have public funding anymore. So it was the
Mm-hmm.
basic thing. And
Just to
also
push it a little bit there. Yeah.
yeah, and the private funding, like the members, when a big companies pay 5 or 6 membership to be in all the clusters
It
because
makes
they
no
want to
sense.
be, yeah, that makes no sense. So that's why there is a thing, this movement. But I'd say that we kept the regional level as a good level.
Mm-hmm.
For example, about automotive in France and about pôle de compétitivité, there is one in Paris and Normandy. There is one,
Mm-hmm.
so next move. There is one in the west part of France, ID for mobility, and one in the east part of France, pôle véhicule du futur.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so these 4 organizations, we discuss together with the French automotive industries. We discuss together about action that we can implement in common, and so on. And then at the regional level, we also have collaboration with clusters and pôle de compétitivité in adjacent technology. Like
Okay.
we discuss, there is a one pôle de compétitivité about energy, about chemical and environment, about data and software. So we have to discuss together, because when we talk about cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
we have to discuss with the cluster about data and electronics and
Absolutely.
software,
Absolutely.
and then we share the effort, because we address the market, they address the technology, and so we discuss together. So we have this kind of balanced situation with good size cluster pôle de
Mm-hmm.
compétitivité, able to discuss, to work together, and basically I'd say between 300 and 400 members is the size of the cluster in France.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let me ask you, since you've been quite new on this manage, I mean, you really find and reach a big organization. You just joined it, and what are the big challenges that you're facing as a just arrived? Because you came from another cluster from the industry.
So
What
let's
was the
say,
situation?
okay, well, just I'm going to sum up my resume. Uh, I'm not engineer. I'm not, and so my president is an engineer. It's a subject of joke.
Uh-huh.
I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything about engine and technology and so on. So
Uh-huh.
my job, my skills is to be able to to help public structure and private companies to
Okay.
discuss together and to develop the territory. So
Okay.
I used to study economic science,
Uh-huh.
and then I work in a local government in France, in the mountains, the Alps, and then in the south of Lyon.
Hmm.
I was working as a economic development director in a local government.
Okay. So you have a good experience and overview on how to manage and how to move with the administration. That's a very important
Yeah.
thing as a cluster manager.
Sometimes I say I don't know what we are doing, but I know why we are doing it, and and I know why public funding funders, public organization funders. I know why private companies have an interest in this collaboration,
Mm.
and then we have a big, nice, good team of 20 people and working in the what and the when, and also about my career, I work so in local economic development. I was working about entrepreneur,
Uh-huh.
incubator, accelerator, and a lot of things, and retail, and lots of things. And then we moved in the US. We lived in North Carolina in the US during 5 years with my
Whoa.
wife and my family,
Nice
and it was
experience.
yeah, it was nice. It was first a good opportunity I was a stay-at-home dad, so I
Uh-huh.
take care of my kids, and we learn English, and they
Awesome.
learn faster than me, but no, it's okay. And then I worked there in it's a region named the Research Triangle Park
Okay.
in North Carolina, in Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Durham, and it's a kind of technopole in the East Coast.
Hmm.
And I worked with them for like international cooperation. So it was really interesting to
Okay.
see how their cluster are working, and and this cluster there was really big into biotechnologies
Okay.
and software and data,
Okay, so
and
you had
now
some previous experiences on the
yeah,
entities different but similar to a cluster.
yeah.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. And
So
how was to arrive here? Did you already cap all the let's say strategies or the business plan that Kara already had? Had you been changing some things on your arrival? How is it? How did you arrive and start running on this very big organization that Kara is?
um, to be frank, it was quite difficult at the beginning to
I
arrive in this
guess.
organization with a lot of history, a lot of members. It was quite new for me also because it's a non-profit organization. I'm a executive manager
Uh-huh.
for. I'm the boss,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
we have to manage HR, we have to manage finance, we have to manage management, and
Hmm.
also the project, and everything. And when you have to learn everything and at the same time, it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
Also, I think the main success, what I have the trust of my board.
Uh-huh.
So as a non-profit organization, we have a board of members.
Hmm.
Among these 400 members, we have 50 of them in these boards, and
50 of
representing
them. Whoa,
15,
my
15, 15,
15. Okay.
15.
I was thinking my board of directors it's 9. If you had
No, no,
50, I mean
no, no.
that's a big
It's,
challenge, my friend.
it's
Now 15,
15,
1 5. Okay, okay, okay.
15. And so I work with them.
Okay.
Also, when I arrived, it's the pôle de compétitivité label from the French government
Uh-huh.
is we have to renew it every 5 years,
Okay.
and I arrived in August, and we received the labelization process in August. So we had
Ooh, so
two
first
months
topic on the
to
table. I see.
voilà, c'est ça. that's
Wow,
that's it.
wow.
So we had to work on that with the team, and at the beginning, the idea was to pursue, keep on doing the same kind of thing, and then subject after subject, we have been able to change and to not to do the revolution, but to do the evolution of the organization.
Mhm.
Um, at some point, we will arrive at a situation where we added a lot of subjects in
Okay.
CARA. like CARA plus bike, CARA plus hydrogen, CARA plus urban logistic, and so on. And we had a kind of a mosaic of subject with
Okay.
a lack of not coordination, but a lack of soul. So my idea as a new guy in the organization is okay. I don't understand what we are doing, so explain. If I understand, everybody's going to be able to understand. So we had to work about this simple word to explain, like cooperation for innovation is
Yeah.
basic, simple. We work on that, and then we add the subtleties. So that's why that was the question. And also, second thing, as every structure, we have a turnover of people. So when I arrived, a lot of people left, but because it
Whoa.
was time for them to change or they have other
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
So the idea was to rebuild
Rebuild
the
the team.
organization, rebuild the team, to find the subjects, the important things, the topics, and then to add. And it's a continual movement. Right
It
now, we
is.
are
It
working.
is. I think that this is something very very interesting that you're sharing, because I would say I don't know in the rest of Europe, but at least here in our region, I would say most of Spain, there are already a lot of clusters, and if something's happening right now, it's some of them they are just disappearing or merging in some cases, but right now they are not very much new creations of cluster. I was trying to think. Last cluster I heard that was created, I think one cluster in the last 2 3 years maybe. So we are in our region. We are not very much creating new clusters. Maybe in other regions in Europe it's happening. So the most common thing for a cluster manager or the most common situation for a cluster manager is not to arrive and try to create from scratch, from zero, a cluster, but to join an organization which is already running, which is what you did. So because I was talking with a new cluster manager just a couple of days ago, that he just arrived, and he was trying to talk to me on how to manage all the situation, and it was a very fun talk. We agree on met every month to just make some kind of a follow-up there. And I think many cluster managers are facing, or they already faced, not very long ago, the situation that you are in, that you just arrived, few people left, some other kept. There's already a synergy there, or some dynamics inside the cluster, and you arrive with your ideas. And I think it's kind of a balance between keeping the old and introducing new things, isn't it? How did you manage that, Thomas?
Yes, and it's, as I said, it was quite difficult because so right now it's easy to say. So we had a lot of turnover, and we had to renew the labelization, and we didn't know about what I was doing because it was not my topic. So I had to be really modest and to learn with my colleagues. So I found a really comprehensive cluster ecosystem with other
Okay.
clusters. So it was fast. It was from the beginning. Other cluster manager reached me and asked me if I need help, if I needed support,
Okay. On the
if I had
transition,
any
that's
question.
very
Yeah,
important. That's very
any
important.
question like a kind of mentoring thing. Because yes, a lot of question about public incentives in the public funding have lots of rules, European rules, and
Yeah.
you can read a lot of document, but to understand the the way to
It's
manage
it's a
that,
challenge. It's a big
it's a
challenge there.
challenge. When you have to hire people, when you have to fire people. Fortunately, I didn't have to, but you have every new situation all the time. So it was really comfortable to have people I was able to talk to with
Hmm.
trust and confidence, and it was something really important. So in the regional level, the 5 or 6 other big clusters, we try to talk together, to have exchange, to
Hmm.
discuss, and also inside the team. Uh, it was really important from the beginning to understand that the life is not continuous.
Hmm.
there are a lot of new things all the time happening, and we can't
Continuously.
predict.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to predict. It's really difficult to, and you have to adapt to manage, and then you can have this kind of burnout situation where you are not able to follow everything. So you need to be prepared to the chaos, to say it's going to arrive. There are change, there are frustration, there have uncertainty. It's paradoxal because you want everything and the contrary, and at some point you have
Yeah.
to take a
Yeah.
decision right now, and you don't know
Go
everything. So
there and forget the other. Absolutely. Prioritization. Yeah.
and at some point when you know that it's all the time like that, and it's normal to take risk, it's normal to make errors, it's normal to want something and then to don't want something, and to want to change and to want to be stable. So at some point you have to just to talk about that with
Yeah.
your team, and so that's why in my situation I say I have three partner I have to
Okay.
trust.
Uh-huh.
My team, my directors, so we are a team of three directors with
Okay.
me, working together really weekly, having a point, and I have my board of the
Mm-hmm.
companies, and also I have the public funders,
Okay.
region, Metropolis of Lyon, principally, and with these people, I
Yeah, it's
can't
like
lie.
your three your big triangle, right?
Yes, and I can't lie. Uh, we have to share the values and the vision, and what we want to do, and the meanings of the of the activity. Uh, we have to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
Mm-hmm.
hide anything,
Mm-hmm.
and when you take decision, I take the decision, but I discuss. And if I don't
With
understand
this.
something, I ask them, I ask question, and so this
Mm-hmm.
is really important to have this kind of rules of organization,
Mm-hmm.
discussing.
Yeah.
It's a way to protect, and so with my board, with my team, and with my partners.
I think that's a very smart and very clever way to structure your arrival in the cluster, and to make sure from one side that the all things that have been working and still working, they are kept there, talking, asking questions, and as you said, but to have these three steps, these three foods, I think it's very stable for you in this transition. Because I was thinking, Thomas, a few what, like 4 or 5 months ago, there was a change in one cluster that we are very close to. Um, they changed the cluster manager, and I've been talking with the new cluster manager almost every month or the month. And what I see at what concerns me on how is managing the situation is that the I see too too much gap, too much difference between the cluster reality that has to take care of and the vision that this person has for the cluster. You know what I mean? I see that reality goes from one direction, and the vision that this new cluster manager has for the cluster goes another direction, and it's not going to met anytime soon. My feeling is that they are going in every time in a even more different direction. That concerns me because at some point, I think it's important to have a vision, no questions about that. But at the same point, you need to understand what's your reality, the reality of your cluster. You talk about finance, your team, the more immediate challenges that you are facing in a different aspect, the reality of your associates, and of course you have to have a vision. But at some point, the vision and the reality they must converge. Maybe not right now, but in a reasonable time lab. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because if it's
and
too
I
different, it gets
ex-
frustration at the end of the day, isn't it?
exactly, and I think that, but it was the same situation for me when I was working on
Was
economic
it?
development with political people. At some point, you are the technical guy. You are paid
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to do that. You are paid to do a job, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be good at your job. But it's not your project. You don't. you have a president, or you have a mayor, or you have someone, and who represents the ecosystem, the board. You have the funders who want some stuff,
Hmm.
and your job, you are a mercenary. You work for someone because you are paid by this guy, and then your job is to assemble, to coordinate
Hmm.
the element, to have the result, to deliver the result they want to. But it's not my role. I can have my own opinion about what
Of
we want to
course.
do, what I prefer to do, but at some point it's not my project. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, it's not my project.
You have to align with the strategy and the vision already there.
But you have to align, but you have also to do the synthèse, the synthase. I don't know
Uh-huh.
how to pronounce it. To assemble the views and
Hmm.
to find the common project, and but your goal is to just to build something, and not to have your own idea. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah,
we are
that's
makers. We have
important.
ingredients, and then we do the cake.
Absolutely, absolutely, to do the kick together. That's a very important thing, because what I'm seeing in this person, when it's been, I think, already 5 6 months, something like that took the new position as a cluster manager. Um, I'm afraid that it's gonna be too much frustration at the point that realizes that the vision, it's I mean, not even close to be fulfilled, because the reality. And at the same time, if you are working only on this new vision, new projects, new thing that you have for the cluster, you have some day-to-day things that you have to take care. As you mentioned before, the relationship with the administration, the relationship with the labels. If you have labels or certifications, you have to take care of financing situations, and you cannot bet everything on a new vision. You can bet, I mean, you can keep a balance, right? Some risk reward ratio between new things that you want to bet, but at the same time, you need some secure bets to take care of the day to day, right? It's not,
Right.
it cannot be glory or forgiven. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
cannot bet all your cluster on a new vision. Yeah, that's something that I think it's important to balance the new ideas, which is very important. That a new cluster manager brings new ideas, new, not only on the vision, on the how to do the day-to-day activities, on how to manage the team, how to manage the working groups, etc. But at the same time, I think as a cluster managers, we must be open to keep the things that they are already working with good results, despite maybe if I have to do it from scratch, maybe I will not be doing it this exactly way. But if they are working, if people are satisfied, and the goals have been reached, maybe that's not the first thing you need to change. Maybe in the future you can consider it, but at the very beginning, I mean, I think we have to learn to keep some of those things. Um, Otherwise, we will become very soon overwhelmed with too many changes, right?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a big challenge, because for me it was a little bit different, Thomas, because I joined the cluster when our cluster, the CIAC, the automotive industry cluster here in Catalonia. It's this year we are in an anniversary. We reached 10 years of the foundation, and I reached the cluster when it was only 3 years old, so it was quite at the very beginning. And I joined it, sorry, as a project manager. I stayed there a couple of years, and then I had the opportunity to move as cluster manager, which I've been there for the last 5 6 years. So it was quite different for me. So some of the things in the cluster are very tailor made to my way of thinking. Um, and some others, of course, there are ways that I learned from my board of directors on the team. And I have to say, I really admire, and also I'm very grateful for the team I have, because I know they do a big effort to adapt in many ways to my way of thinking or my way of doing, which I really appreciate. And in exchange, I try to offer them enough space for them to the project managers, to the guys who are managing all the financing aids, the financing calls, and the communication team as well. I try to give them enough space to do their own things on their own way, because I know that they do a lot of effort to adapt to my way of thinking and my way of doing. And I know sometimes it's not easy. So I think it's a balance there. But when you reach it as an outsider, that's a big challenge, my friend. That's a big challenge. I mean, and I think I would say you're being quite successful there. I don't know if you feel that you're doing good enough for yourself, or you are tough with yourself. Where are you there in this new transition?
I'd say 6 months ago, if I had a suggestion to go back to the US and to be stay-at-home dad, I would have said yes. I'm your guy. Right now,
yeah, beginnings are tough.
Yeah, after 1 year, you have a beginning of being able to have seen everything, every situation. You have prepared a budget, you hired people, you have difficult situations.
You finished the 12 months
exactly
period. Yeah.
So it's easier right now, and I'm quite confident about the situation. Actually, sounds like my teams, my boards appreciate me.
I'm sure they do.
So it's great, and I'm, everybody has his own level. The process come thing. You're on level of basic skills and personalities and so on. So obviously, I'm more in empathy and like a social relationship. So if you want to reward me, just have to say that I'm a good guy, and it's enough. And this is a way to motivate me.
You, yeah.
But so I have the trust of my team, and we learn to work together. And I gave them this kind of frame of work, as I said, trust and confidence, and being able to say everything and so on. So we really have a good way to work together, and I know that I can count on them working about the project. We have a lot of difficulties, as we said, and everybody, it's nothing is easy, and we have just to decide that we are going to do our job.
Focus, and we're going to focus and forget.
And I think the idea is it's really a question of belief and question of decision. You decide how you want to manage your organization, and you decide how you want to be active and to have the decision about the process. You can be overwhelmed about everything
very easily.
If I see all the problem, and if I imagine all the problem we can have, this partner won't renew the partnership, or this situation will be difficult. This guy is going to leave because so you don't. It's impossible to be blind. You can say, okay, I'm going to work, and I'm going to close my eyes, but you can decide that I will take one problem at a time. We'll work this problem, and we will decompose the problem in small tasks, and it can be easy to resolve.
To resolve it, yeah. I think there's a big difference. Also, I was just to add to what you said. I think it's very different to be aware than to be worried, right? Because you are aware that many things can happen, but you cannot allow yourself to be worried that these things are going to happen. Otherwise, your mindset gets stuck, and you stop being productive. You stop being creative, and you stop solving the main issues that you have to focus, right? So awareness is one thing.
Yeah, and I think it's in my own way to work and to be in my personality, but I have to trust my guts. I have to be intuition. Intuition is a big part of thing. I know that I won't forget anything. I know that if there is a problem, something, I am in a part of my mind, and I know that I have to work on this subject because it's important. I don't, and in this kind of clusters organization, we have a lot of tasks, and
Yes, we
we
do.
have to work on different things at the same time, to work the long term, to work the
Hmm.
network, to work the relationship, to be able to decide. Oh, this yesterday we had a big trade show event about environment in Lyon, big thing. I say, oh, I know that I have to be there just for
Hmm.
lunch, just to meet people because I'm going. And it was kind of pain in my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to go there because I have to take my car and so on. But I knew that I had to do it because
Hmm.
it's important to manage to think long term, to 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 build your network and so on.
Yeah, absolutely,
And the
absolutely.
thing I wanted to say just before,
Please.
it's like when you go to run or if you go take your bike and so on. If you if you go to run and you say, "Oh, I'm tired and I won't be
Uh-huh.
able to run today because I am," sure, it's difficult and it's raining, it's freezing, and so you won't be able to run. It's going to be uh, really difficult
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
If you mess with your mindset, I mean, it's game over.
Exactly.
It's
And
game
if
over.
you decide, if you should say, okay, I'm going to run, I really need it. I'm going to put a good music I like and kind of really, uh, yeah, fast music or something that you really like, and
Uh-huh.
just it's like in your mindset, it's a way to it's a mentalization. I don't know what to say. You
Yeah, yeah,
manipulate
yeah.
your own brain to say, okay, I decide to be in a good mood. And it's
Absolutely,
the same for
absolutely,
work. At some
absolutely.
point last year, say, okay, we decide that we want to be in a good mood. We decide that we're doing only fun stuff. And
Hmm.
the not enough fun, we have to do it. But like, it's going to be easy because we'll share and we know that we have to do it and we're going to work on it together. So
Yeah,
it's a question of mindset, question of
absolutely.
mindset. We
Attitude
decide to
makes
be
a big difference, right?
uh,
Yeah, attitude
yes.
makes a big difference. Absolutely
And
agree
if you
with you,
see
Thomas.
if you're on your bike on a mountain bike trail and you see the big rock and you look at the big rock, you're going to be in front of this big rock. You're going to try to
You
hit the
get
big rock.
overwhelmed. You look at that and say, huh,
Yeah,
we'll
just
see.
follow the trail and look at the trail and don't look at the rock and just go there and have a good
Time.
music and have fun and that's all. We
Yeah.
need to have fun and we need to be we are not we are doing stuff important. We have a team of people working with us and we are responsible about their salary and everything,
Hmm.
but we are not working in a situation of war. We are not working on a public of human being lives and in the
Hmm.
medical stuff in a
Yeah.
hospital
Yeah.
and so just let's be cool.
Let's enjoy, let's have fun. Actually, from when you are relaxed because of you're having fun and you are enjoying, despite how big the challenge you're facing right now, I think you get more creative on how to solve problems, and you can solve it cheaper sometimes, easier in an easier way, and sometimes even in a quicker way. That if you are only worried about that, so I have absolutely agree with that. I remember I don't run, I don't bike, but I love hiking the mountains. And a few months ago in the summertime, I was in a 5 day trip with my own camping stuff and my camping tent, everything, yeah, in my bag. And I remember the very first day it started raining, and it was like, oh my god, very first day after like 4 or 5 hours walking in the mountain, start raining. I said, can be true, because it was no really on the weather.
Yeah,
It was like, what am I going to do? I mean, I have 5 days in front of myself. Should I go back to the car and start the journey tomorrow, or should I? And I decided to just keep going. And I just put my rain jacket, my rain trousers, and everything, and say, okay, let's go with the rain. It's raining. Let's enjoy the rain. And it was a pity because it was raining for the next like 3 4 hours. So even my jacket, Gore-Tex, and everything get wet. I said, okay, I will arrive somewhere. I don't know where, because I saw in the map few a cabin maybe or something like that, I will arrive to a cabin or maybe to my own tent. I'm going to take the things off. If I have a space, I would just put it there to dry. If I not, I'm going to put it in the bag. Okay, that's my B plan. So let's just enjoy the rain. What I have right now, one step at a time, as you mentioned. Don't get overwhelmed for the situation, because your mindset, your mental game plays a big difference there, and you need to learn to focus on the step on the step you have in front of you. 100% agree on that, and try to enjoy it. You don't have to be naive
Exactly.
or taking unnecessary risk, of course. But if the path you have away in front of you is reasonable, just go for one step at a time. And I love what you said of enjoying and having fun. I think that's a makes a big difference on how you work, how do you approach not only the problems but also the day-to-day activities, how your relationship with your partners, your colleagues, your administration, your associates. That I
Yeah.
love what you said. I think that makes a
Yeah.
very big difference.
And there's something that you said about your hike. It's when you can predict everything, so it's impossible to predict everything, but you can predict probability and uh, probability and gravity.
Uh-huh.
You can say that, I don't know if it's gravity the word, the
No,
example,
it's
but
the word is yeah,
it's
yeah, how difficult or
yeah, the
challenging.
risk.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
the risk. Yeah,
challenging,
yeah.
the risk. And if it's really probable and really risky, don't don't do it.
You just forget it.
If it's probable but it's not risky, you're going to be wet, but that's all. And if you're not in a high mountain with a peak, with a cliff, with everything, say okay. So the question of risk and probability, it's a
Absolutely.
good way
Love that.
to
I love
predict
that.
the thing. And I know that we have really important people in our organization. Um, I know that if there is a problem with these people, it's been really a big risk because they are
Hmm.
very important in
In the
this principle
organization. Yeah,
in the
that's it.
organization. So, but at some point, you have to just to predict the situation you'll have and the
Hmm.
risk and the probability. Like we can have another COVID, and but maybe the risk is really low, and
Uh-huh.
or and we'll see at this moment of time, and we see that maybe if the situation, if a new situation like that, we're going to redo what we did last time, or and so we have this kind of way to think about the problem with
Hmm.
this kind of situation, and how can you adapt if that happen? How can you adapt
Yeah.
the situation?
Adaptation, that's a big part of the game. Actually,
Yeah.
we are reaching almost the 1 hour mark, which is the more or less the mark that we have here. But I have, before going, I know that you, as a very big organization, you have a lot of activities and movements in the European level. And I have a question for you from our previous guest, because one thing that we do in this podcast is we ask our previous guest to ask a question to our current guest, West. And I will ask you at the very beginning, very end, sorry, of the podcast. I'm going to ask you to formulate a question for our next guest. So the question for you from my previous guest is, what would you ask to the European Commission, right? Except for money. So what would you ask for the cluster or for the cluster environment? Yeah, for your companies, for your situation, for the project that you are running. What would you ask to the European Commission except for money?
For my organization, actually, I'm not comfortable with this question because this is one point. No, because it's one of my weakness. I have someone in my team working on a European project and
Okay.
interclustering and so on. Jean-Baptiste Anne is a really good guy, great guy, and I really trust him about what we are doing and how we are doing it. I know that for me, what's important is uh, all this public funding. We
Uh-huh.
It's important not to mismatch goals and means.
Okay. Okay. What do you
European
mean by
funding.
that? What do you mean by that?
So European funding, it's not a goal. it's
Okay.
a way, it's a mean, it's a way to
Oh,
achieve your own goal.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and sometimes in my, it's a discussion with my board and also with the team and so on. So that we we have to reach this goal in 2020, 2025,
Uh-huh.
24 to manage 5 European projects and to be important in European activities.
Mm-hmm.
So working at the European level, it's a way to support innovation. It's a way to
Mm-hmm.
support your
Mm-hmm.
project, to support project of your members, but it's not a goal by itself.
It's not a goal by itself. That's a very important thing. Yeah,
And
absolutely agree.
but it's really important. A lot of clusters around us. We count on this European funding to complete our
Mm-hmm.
organization.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, if the projects are too far from our activities,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a destabilization of our organization because you're going to have a special. You're going to spend time
Yeah, you
to
want to spend
affect.
the next 2 3 years focusing on something that is not strategic for your cluster. Yeah, I know what you
Exactly.
mean.
So,
Yeah, I
and
know what you mean.
this is the difference between the why and the what. And you don't do something if it's not in your DNA and your in your soul. So
Mm-hmm.
my request about European Commission as in my position is maybe more simplicity.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I'm joining
Sometimes
that. I'm joining that request. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
there are a lot of programs. There are a lot
yeah.
of things. At some point, say okay, just everything. But so that's all.
Yeah, that's a challenge for them, I'm sure, because in their own aim to take care of a big global situation and support the different industries, of course they have to put in procedure very different like plans and actions and calls for experts and of course funding solutions and but simplicity. Oof, I would love that. I would love that, but maybe it's not realistic from our side to demand that, but I would love to have more simplicity there. Absolutely, 100%. Come on, yeah, yeah. And let me ask
Okay,
you. I have this. Go
no,
on,
no,
before
no,
finishing.
I wanted to go on the question,
Oh yeah,
but
exactly.
if you have a question before, go ahead.
No, no, no. Actually, I was about to ask you what would be the question for you as a cluster manager. What would you learn or know from another for the next cluster manager we'll have here in the show?
Okay, my question can be about how do you manage to fidelize your membership, your members?
Mm.
Do you have special actions, special process?
Okay.
How do you take time to discuss with everybody to be
Uh-huh.
able that everybody who agree to join your organization and maybe need to
Okay.
share their expertise and you have special way to do that. It's kind of a
Okay.
customer
Okay.
relationship management.
It is. It is. It is. But it's a
How
very,
do you
very,
manage
very good
your
question. Very good
yeah,
question. Actually, it's going to be very helpful for us because we at the very beginning of the year we send all the invoices to all our cluster members. So I'm going to take notes of whatever answer gives the next guest on the show.
and
Okay.
what is
In
your way?
in my case, we try to focus on two things. As I mentioned before, we are very focused on these collaborative projects. So we try to have a lot of projects because we have between 60 and 70 requests of new projects every year. We are able to fulfill between 40 and 50 of them. So not all of them, but a big number of them. So we try to get almost everyone involved in these projects. Right now, I'm not sure the number for this year, but last year we were able to join 94% of our members in at least one of the collaborative projects that we run. So that's a huge number. So
Okay,
right
and how
now
many
for us,
members?
we
How
have
many
right
members?
now it's 160 members, more or less.
Okay,
Yeah, which is
don't
it's a big number for us. Yeah.
yeah, but don't go.
No, we few years ago we reached the 200 line members, but after the COVID, some companies decide to change sector, and also some what we call they are not industrial members. We call them collaborative members, which are like consultancies, something like that. They decide also to leave the classes. So right now we are in these 160 marks, more or less, but it's a huge number for us to manage because they are very active, and that's one of the things that we are trying to do it. And the other way to do it is the discussion groups, to try to make sure that the topics we are discussing are very hot topics on the table. So we have very few discussing groups regarding, in our case, that OEMs, what they are doing. We have a topic about like a meeting every month with all the general managers of the company, so we can discuss whatever they want between among them in a very private and secure environment. So we try to understand what concerns them right now and try to offer them not a solution, because you know that as a cluster, most of the time we don't have the solution, but we can maybe take them few steps forward on solving that problem, right? So that's what we try to do. Be very, very proactive on the hot topics and try to offer at least a path to solve that situations we are facing. Yeah, that's how we manage that. Yeah, or how we try to manage that. Yeah. Okay, so we take notes of your question for our next guest. And Thomas, thank you very much for this time. I know your calendar is quite busy, so thank you very much for taking the time to share your experiences. And for the audience who is listening to us, if you reach this point, hopefully the conversation was interesting for you, and you find few things. Actually, I didn't have some path to take some notes here, but I will listen that again, because you mentioned few things that I really, really like it, and I'm definitely going to be applying to my day-to-day management of the classes. So, Thomas, thank you very much, and talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.